move on to committee reports.
Yes. Y'all not, this is really small.
So finance is first. I don't see that we have Commissioner King at this point. Yeah, I don't believe so. She's our treasurer. She's the point person for finance. But we can give a quick update as the staff if that's all right.
Yes, please.
So we submitted our capital budget request today, which, you know, we're focusing on 2025. We can kind of project out for a few years. So we gave them a little bit of that, but for the most part, we're asking for 2025 to continue our contract with the Fair Housing Partnership. So that was submitted today. We'll wait to hear back from them. I'm not sure if that will be a separate process from our other budget meeting. And I have the date for you in my director's report on that. I don't know if this is common knowledge yet, but the interchange group has closed. That was our partner for strategic planning. I am currently,
Wow.
Yes. So we're working to try to straighten that out now. It looks like we may be able to move forward with one of the partners of Interchange with their consulting group. We're looking into numbers and how we're going to move forward. So please stay tuned for that. I should have more solid updates in August at that meeting. But does anyone have any questions about our finances at this point? I mean, I'm happy to be transparent. We're moving into the next stage of budget season after this month, so we'll have more to do, and it'll be more making our case for things. Yes, Commissioner Gibson.
Is our fiscal end at the end of June or at the end of September?
So the city's fiscal kind of matches the calendar year because of the way the operating budget runs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're not nearly there yet. We're about halfway, a little over halfway through the year. If there are no other questions about finance, we can move into personnel committee. We did.
Personnel.
Yeah, so Liddy is the chair of the of the personnel committee, but she's not with us today. So is there anyone else from the personnel committee that can give a brief update on that?
It does not appear so.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, they're moving forward with the evaluation process for the director, so myself.
I will say that is happening.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they're sending out evaluations. So that we look for that in your emails. That's pretty much the only update we have for personnel. And then we have community relations.
Rachel, who's chair of community relations? I know I'm a committee member.
Yeah, Namita is the chair for community relations. Just promoted you, Commissioner.
No. We met, we talked about all the public interfaces that are possible for us to do. We talked about our tabling at the various, street fairs that are around. I don't have a report on what happened this past weekend. I know that they said they were going to open up the streets at 3 and they ended up opening them at 2. I don't know if volunteers came down. I was ill and was not able to do that. And we talked about various organizations that commissioners know personally to be able to provide entree to those groups to publicize the work and the mission of the commission. Is that about cover it, Rachel? I don't have notes in front of me.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. So I sent out the minutes for those, but I'm not sure who all had it, you're busy folks. So Chris, is there anything that you would add to that with regard to the homelessness stuff, especially thinking about our meeting that we were going to give them a follow-up on?
Yeah, so we did have a meeting with Tricia Dubiak and Lisa Frank. Sorry, it took me a moment there. And Stephanie Gagne was also present for that and helped put everything together. They had directed us to some resources that we might be able to use if we want to move forward with our plans to take action and create homelessness protections. They had requested that we get more information in terms of statistical information to back up what we were saying about discrimination and homelessness and sort of the intersection between it and a lot of our other protected classes. Since then, we have linked up with some other departments within the city and other sort of action teams who are working on the issue. So hopefully we will have something positive come out of that. And when that happens, I'll be happy to update it. Yeah.
Are there any questions for Community Relations Committee? We can move into my director's report.
Questions? I actually do. I want to ask. They said something about bringing a dish. What's the dish for? And what was he talking about? The dish? Where everybody was talking about bringing a dish or something, a covered dish or something. What's that for?
I'm sorry, I'm missing what you're saying, Tara.
You said something about bringing a covered dish to something. What was that for?
No, I didn't mention covered dish. I must have been misheard.
Okay.
Because that would involve me cooking, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, I know. That's why I asked. Cause okay, I might have probably just misheard because I'm walking down the street with the wind and stuff. Okay. Director's report.
Alrighty. So the numbers are in. We received 37 applications for the open investigator position after posting that everywhere we could think of. Courtney is thankfully redacting all of those for us so that I can look at them and have a pretty unbiased view, just look at the facts. Chris and I are going to start reviewing those. We're going to try to split them up so that we can tackle getting through the initial stack, and then we'll start the phone interview process. I mentioned earlier that we're moving on to like the next stage of the budgeting process. Our departmental budget meeting will be held on August 2nd at 1 p.m. I don't think that anyone necessarily needs to be there, but if you want to, please just let me know and I'll make sure that you get all of the information that you need about the room and things like that. It is an in-person meeting, I believe on a Friday. So, but we'll get our chance to plead our case for the changes that we're going to make. And I just wanted to thank the personnel committee for starting the director evaluation process. I know like we just got through like hiring a director and now we're like in another hiring process. I feel like it's always something for you all, but I do appreciate your time because the feedback is really important to me. With cases and enforcement, so as of like the end of June, we do have 53 open investigations, which is pretty much holding steady with what we've been having. We have 25 pending intakes. And we have a startling number of post-cause cases where 2 of them are currently pending some reconsideration, which means we would take it back to investigation because there's additional evidence or legal arguments. 3 of them are in court. and 14 of them are currently pending mandatory conciliation, which is quite a lot. The goal for the next month or so is going to be to try and schedule these and whittle away at them. We're hoping to resolve as many as possible so that we don't have to take anything further to public hearing. But there are 4 cases now on the public hearing track. I know that public hearing section we just met and that there was only 3 on there. So I'll have to update you. Yeah, Commissioner Roslow.
Yeah, I just had a question for those 14 pending mandatory conciliation. Is that the commission that does that, or is that an outside? How does that work?
Yeah, so for the mandatory conciliations, we ensure that the investigator that was assigned to investigate the case is not conciliating. But other than that, provided that there are no conflicts, another staff member can hold conciliation. We also have about 10 volunteer mediators that we work with on rotation so that we can have someone who's completely removed from the commission's process to do that conciliation for us. So we're working to get them all scheduled right now. I have some on my plates. Lauren's been taking some. She actually just had her first successful conciliation. I was really, really excited about that for her. And we're going to get Lauren and I believe Lauren, Jeffrey, and Chris are going to go for the formal mediation training with the conflict lab in the fall. So Lauren and Jeffrey already took the EEOC's like conflict resolution, like the ADR program. It was virtual though. It was a full week on the computer, like not interactive. And the conflict lab is super great at giving you the opportunity to kind of role play and feel out what it really feels like to be in a room with other people that you have to try to like manage. So we're going to send them for that. That'll be early September. If there were any commissioners that were interested in that, please let me know as soon as possible so we can try to get you registered.
And do we expect to have the new, I'm not part of personnel committee as far as the hiring for the new investigator. Do you think we would be on track to get that new investigator in to that training, or do we, I guess it depends, huh?
I think it would be a bit soon to get them into mediation training. It depends on their background, right? So like we're hoping to have somebody on hopefully by the beginning of September, just looking at all the red tape of the city and the hiring process. But I think if we're going to start training, I don't necessarily want to start it with a 40-hour mediation training, but the conflict lab does offer this twice a year. So we can keep them posted and try to keep tabs on when they're holding their spring training. So it's usually in April. That'll give them, the new investigator, a few months to get acclimated to our processes and how all of that stuff works before we train them in how to try to resolve those matters.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And then moving on, we have 9 determinations and compliance review this month, including 4 settlements, which is excellent. We love to see it that way. That way we can be as creative as possible trying to resolve these cases and make sure that everybody walks away getting something. Also, we've been really pushing the public interest relief. So we're continuing with the training opportunities and trying to do some monitoring too. We're also in enforcement trying to enforce a settlement agreement right now for an employment matter. The respondent signed a term sheet, and then when it came time to sign the actual agreement, they are backing out and trying to say that they never agreed to certain terms, even though they seem to be the ones imposing new terms. So we are working with our solicitor on that, and I hopefully will have good news for everyone the next meeting that we have on that. Okay, and moving into education and outreach, we did have a table at Pride. That was the very end of May, so I didn't get a chance to let anybody know about that in June at our meeting, but we had tons of engagement. We had a map that we presented where people could put marks where they live or where they feel affirmed or where they might not feel so safe. So it gave us a really good perspective of like which areas of Pittsburgh feel more at home for people in the LGBTQIA+ community and who don't, and maybe places that don't. There were a lot of additions for things that were outside of the city because obviously the city is very expensive to live in. So a lot of folks were just from outside of there. So we did have some really good engagement. We gave out a lot of cards with the QR code for our survey that's coming up. We should have that survey ready in the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited for it. We're going to do about 6 weeks of a run on that. So once I have the information for it, I will absolutely let everybody know. We're going to do an e-blast. We'll be on Facebook promoting it. We're going to do some interactive exhibits that I just talked to our vendor about to get today. So really exciting stuff. And then, so there was also the 12th annual Corporate Equity and Inclusion Roundtable Conference. This is my first time being able to attend that, but it was very interesting. It really asked everyone in the room to just kind of check their bias and how they really view diversity, equity, and inclusion work. And then the thing that I took away from that was that the University of Pittsburgh is doing this Black Pittsburgh Satisfaction and Retention Survey. So I did include the link here so that you could share it, but it's for anybody who's either currently in Pittsburgh or has left Pittsburgh. That, you know, they're trying to get a sense of why people are choosing to stay or maybe why they're choosing to leave. So that, I believe, is, let me see, I don't think I have an end date on there, but I know it was going to be up for at least a month or two. A few of the staff and myself attended a webinar on expungement and clean slate efforts. Obviously, this is very important if we're looking at all things criminal history, which we are at this point for our criminal history individualized assessment that we're trying to add to the code. So it was very eye-opening. It's interesting to hear more about what currently exists for people in the expungement stage, rather than I've been more aware of things that people are trying to get done. So at the state level, they're trying to get eviction expungements. So if you were a tenant and you prevailed in your appeal of an eviction, then that does not show up on your record. Or if there's a limitation for the number of years that it can be on your record if you were found to be actually at fault and evicted. So City in the Streets, we were there at City in the Streets this weekend. I was there from 9:30 to about 1:30. Yeah, they started coming around asking people to clean up at like 1:30, and it was pretty quick for us to get it down, but everybody around us was cleaning up. The email that they sent out said that it was closing, or that they were reopening the streets, I'm sorry, at 2, and we were right at the end where it was Center and Kirkpatrick. So I wanted to make sure that we had like cleaned the space out. There were big heavy tables and tents and all kinds of things. So we were there. We had a lot of really good engagement with people. I went up to a couple of the tables for the other city departments, and that's where we were able to make some more connections with folks that are in the Office of Community Health and Safety on what's happening with the Greyhound situation, and also for the homelessness piece that we're looking at. So we're going to meet with them very soon. But I just wanted to provide a reminder of the next City in the Streets, which is this month on the 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. I don't hesitating about that time because I feel like it was different, and
could someone promote Commissioner Ellison? Thank you.
Yeah, so this July 17th, Chris and I will actually, let's see, how many of us? Because we're going to a conference in DC. So Rita, Chris, Lauren, and myself will not be here. I don't know if anyone will be back in time for that tabling event. So if commissioners could get on board for that one in particular, that would be really helpful. We could always skip it. I mean, I would hate to do that, but if I'll try to get some other staff on top of it as well, but it's just going to be tough for this one. And really quickly, I want to give space for Ms. Ellison to speak to us. We had a meeting and wanted to have an opportunity for her to share with us the work over at the Office of Equal Protection. So Anne Marie, you have the floor if you like it.
Hi there, how are you? Thanks for having me. I am really just at this stage sitting in, and I appreciate the opportunity to find out what you all are up to, because I feel like it has so much to do with what I've been working on. So my big focus over the last almost year has been twofold: disruptive properties and Paid Sick Days Act compliance enforcement. So I can answer questions you've got about that. And I'm happy to sit in and learn more about what you all are doing.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
it was a pleasure meeting with you and learning more about like the Office of Equal Protection and what stage everything is at. It's really interesting stuff. So I'm looking forward to moving on and doing some trainings together if we can, since it's so similar.
Absolutely. I think that'll be really cool.
Thank you. All right, to finish up my education and outreach, we did Juneteenth as well. It was a success. We gave out tons of stuff to all sorts of people and had a lot of really good face-to-face interactions. Chris and I were able to get connected with a number of different community organizations as well to potentially collaborate or even just add them to our resources list. So I just want to say thank you to all the staff and commissioners who came out. It was hot, it was sticky, but we had a nice location. We were by the food trucks, so it smelled good the whole time at least. And we had some good traffic, so that was really good. So our next housing provider training, this is the one that I've been referring to. We do these with the Fair Housing Partnership so that we can provide, we're trying to be more proactive with our fair housing information. We want to get ahead of it if we can, but also it supports us with our settlement agreements and the mandatory training that comes along with some of those. So we do have a date for that, July 24th. So that's going to be in the afternoon. I believe it's 1 to 4. There is a link there to register if anyone is interested. It is very interesting. Megan Hammond is amazing and has lots of knowledge about what's going on in housing and has tons of really direct experience with cases. So lots of really grounding things that she can share with everybody that's more than just like sharing, the law, and don't do that. So really good. It's free. It will be in a place where there is parking, but you will likely have to drive to it. I think it's in the waterfront, so I'm not sure how much public transportation goes out there.
64.
64, okay. Yeah, I can never keep track of what's still running and what's not, to be honest with you, unless I'm using it regularly. So, yep, there's the RSV for that. And then we have our briefings with City Council coming up next week on Tuesday. It'll be in the afternoon. They start at 2 p.m. and there's going to be 2 of them that are about 45 minutes each. I think actually the way it comes up on my calendar is a bit shorter, but that's okay. We'll try to condense as much as we can into that time, and I'll give you an update on how many council members and their staff attend. Or if you'd like to be there, please, you're welcome to do that. All right, so meetings and new connections. On the 12th, we hosted representatives of the Carter Center and the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the Commission office. We gave them our conference room for the day. They were able to meet with the Human Rights City Alliance. That's Jackie Smith and Michael Goodhart and the efforts that they're taking on all of the tenant-based things. And we met with them, and I believe also the Office of Equal Protection was able to meet with them. So they were able to engage with a lot of different folks that are working on human rights efforts here in Pittsburgh. And the goal of that is that they're really trying to refocus their efforts to the US instead of internationally for human rights. And they're reevaluating how they can be more supportive of human rights agencies like ours. So we had a really good conversation, and I'm really excited to say that they've invited me back to do an advisory council meeting at the end of July. So I'll be headed to Atlanta, Georgia to join them for that, and fingers crossed that this things for Pittsburgh and expansion of what we do with the commission. All right, and then, yes, I did have the pleasure of meeting with Anne Marie, and I was really glad that we were able to connect finally and share some numbers and things that we've been working on. And then Chris already provided our update on the city council, sorry, I was looking at city code. The meeting with Lisa Frank and Krisha Kubiak on the new protections. All right, and just to finish this up, our special projects. So we have a firm date for our continued legal education. So it's the employment discrimination, the administrative process. This is a part of our grant that we received from the EEOC. That'll be on July 31st. I've provided the flyer before, but if you need it, please let me know. All the information is also at that link that I provided. So if you'd like to know more about what it looks like to go through the administrative process with the commission, that's your opportunity. We're hoping to fill the room. I'm really hoping. Also, thank you to Courtney for stuffing so many envelopes with the flyers to send them to the firms so that we can make sure that they know. Yeah, Community Relations Committee. So we already had some of an update from Commissioner Gibson, but we have been discussing youth outreach pretty strongly. So we're looking to start planning for fall activities. Going to move forward with creating some youth-focused outreach materials. So Commissioner King offered to collaborate on that. I have not had 10 seconds to do it yet, but I will create some sort of template in Canva so that we can start working. Leanne Davis, the manager for the Ethics Commission, also has an intern right now who is interested in, she's majoring in media and did graphic design and things like that. So I may try to include her in that project as well, because she is on the younger side. And maybe she can help me tailor the language a little bit more specifically. Okay. So we are in the very beginning stages of planning training sessions for local labor organizations. That's our EEOC Joint Innovation Grant for this year. And we haven't had a chance yet because we've been working on the CLE, but we are looking to move forward on that. I actually had a suggestion today from our vendor out with Studio for the LGBTQIA+ discrimination to like share our survey with them, because even if it's housing focused, we want to get it out and they can share it with our membership. So that might be a really good in for us to start working with them and follow up with some more thorough training on employment stuff in the fall.
I made some good connections.
Yeah, did you want to share about that, Rita? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's fine. The city sent me, Rita Porterfield, to attend the Labor and Employee Relations Conference. It was in New York City this week. I learned a lot of useful information about resolving high conflict situations, the role that unions play in stopping discrimination, and how anti-discrimination laws are enforced. And I also made a few connections that are interested, that have presence in Western PA, that are interested in learning more about what commissions can do, and especially how to help when it's members within unions that are facing discrimination against each other, and the union has a duty to both members. So they're excited about it. This is good.
Thank you. Yeah, didn't want to put you on the spot, but you just got back, so I wanted to pick your brain about it a little bit more. All right, and then the last thing on here is that the Pittsburgh Racial Justice Summit, they're holding a potluck on July 20th. They're gonna start they're trying to do like a meet and greet for all of the organizers who usually meet by Zoom. So it'll be a good opportunity for us to get in and just to meet everyone. I know some of them already, but we haven't, since becoming director in November, they were already well into the planning process by then, and I did not feel like I had enough footing for myself to be able to step into that. So we are looking at how we could potentially be involved, whether that's with planning, a sponsorship, doing some kind of workshop or something. I'm open to ideas, but since they are in the very beginning stages, I wanted to try to get in and hit the ground running.
And this will be where Commissioner Gibson can bring his covered dish to the cookout.
Yes. I mean, did anyone have any questions about any of that? Again, I know it was like a very full report for a month. I will turn it back over to you, Commissioner Collins.
Okay. So old business, we're gonna vote for the budget from 2025.
Yes, so I did include in the packet our memo that we send to the budget office explaining our ask. It is a nice one-page summary this year because we're not asking for very much. Again, we're only looking to transition one of our existing positions into an outreach and intake coordinator position so that we can better serve the community. And we're going to roll some of those administrative duties into what is currently the fiscal and contracting coordinator position, but we're looking to do a position swap to executive assistant. which is budget neutral. So they should have no problem with that. But did anybody have any questions? I did also include the operating budget lines, which I know is like all kinds of, it's a spreadsheet and it's a lot, but again, we're not asking for like anything there either. Since all of these requests are budget neutral, there's not much for us to do except for on the administrative end with making sure that things get shifted around properly from line to line. But what we need from this meeting is a motion to accept the proposed budget request for 2025.
So moved.
Second,
But
Question,
Yes,
Rachel?
yes.
Are we volunteer commissioners responsible for the fiscal integrity of this budget? Or is that up to paid city administrators?
The staff are responsible. You as the board are responsible for oversight of how we plan to spend our funding and for being accountable for like reporting out about it. So the fact that we are holding this meeting publicly and being accountable for our budget changes and what we are currently receiving that is the commissioner obligation.
And what I'm hearing from you is that there's nothing particularly remarkable about this next year's budget, except for that transfer of that $10,000 you were just talking about?
We're asking for $10,000 so that we can do a position promotion. Yes,
Right. Thank you.
you're welcome.
are there any other questions?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
no pass. Next order of business. It's still on the budget, so I don't know what the next order is.
That. We're shifting around.
August meeting move.
Okay, so longstanding commissioners, and I know there's not very many left, but we typically, so the city goes into, oh my gosh, the word just flew out of my head, recess in August. So we used to not have a commission meeting in August, and we would hold one in September just to be on par with what the city is doing. Since then, we've modified, we changed our meeting to be in mid-August. That gives an additional 2 weeks to the staff to get cases closed because we have compliance review at the same time. And that gives us more time administratively to get things closed because the end of our case processing year is the end of September. So that gives us a good buffer on either end. This year we have our meeting scheduled for, oh my gosh. So it's mid. Sorry, too many windows open here. Okay. Yes. All right. Yeah. So it's set to be on August 12th. That's when we would have our regular monthly meeting and our compliance review. The staff will all be at the International Association of Official Human Rights Agencies conference that week. So I'm proposing that we move it back a week if no one has any objection to holding it on the 19th.
So it would be the 19th, and then the September meeting would be still the 2nd, or would,
There
we
would
can talk about this.
Yeah, there would not
Oh,
be.
there's- Okay,
This meeting in mid-August covers for both August and September.
okay,
Yeah, for the record, we're only obligated to have 10 commission meetings a year. We have 11 we schedule 11 just in case something bad happens and we cannot hold one of them, but this sets us up so that we have 11 for the year.
okay. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Okay, then I move to accept that move date. If we need to move.
Second,
Meeting moved. So if we have no other business, I will call this meeting adjourned. We need to vote.
so moved.
Well, I have a quick question. Did we need to revisit the executive session from last month? I apologize. I forget where we left that. But did we need to revisit that, Rachel?
No, we are unfortunately still waiting for documentation.
Do you want me to yell at our lawyers? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
No,
at
that's okay.
a point where I'm going to, yeah, nope. I'm just gonna keep that to myself. But yeah, I am quite frustrated. So I was hoping to have more information for you all at this meeting, but I do not.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I thought that there was something we were supposed to follow up on and just wanted to check in on that first. So thanks for that update.
And then Commissioner Webster, did you have any issue with the minutes? We did vote on those, but I think it was actually pre-quorum. So I wanted to make sure now that we do have quorum, that you're on board with those from June.
Yeah, I'm good. I saw them when you sent them earlier late last week. So
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Just-
Rachel, is compliance right after this meeting or is it waiting till 4:30?
We can do it till right after this meeting if that works for you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
We have a couple things that we need to, couple interesting ones, as you probably saw.
sure. And same, this link or a different link?
The other link.
Okay,
I
great.
will send another link. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tara.
you, Rabbi.
All right. Is
Guys.
to adjourn? I'm sorry.
Thank you.